The Latin American Exchange comparing themselves to some great tag teams in the past, but rightfully so, because they are one of the most dominant tag teams in existence today in professional wrestling.
Yep, well, you know what? Speaking of dominant tag teams, well, here's a lesser. Phil Atlas and Brad Martin.
Wrestling fans, Jeffrey Scott backstage here at Wrath, along with my guests, Phil Atlas and Brad Martin. Tonight, you guys take on the team of Homicide and Hernandez, the Latin American Exchange.
LAX, good tag team, but regardless, first things first, I want to say something to you, Phil. Tonight, I know we've had our battles in the past, but tonight we're a tag team. We got to work as a unit, okay? We go in, we go out as a tag team. That's all I got to say about that.
This is something I already know. I mean, I came in here with the idea of I'm going to win. And isn't it funny that every single time we come to these shows, it always seems that we're placed in this situation where we got to prove ourselves and get to the next level?
Enough said, let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is rumored to be LAX's last match. It could be their first match. All I know is it's going to be one hell of a match. Back to you.
And their opponents, combined weight 401 pounds. Here is Phil Atlas and Brad freaking Martin.
Well, once again, as Phil Atlas alluded to, they are put in a position where they have to, quote, prove themselves, unquote. But I mean, against a team like LAX that have been so dominant around the world, particularly in TNA, they would certainly have to prove themselves. But I mean, Phil Atlas and Brad Martin, certainly no slouches in PTW as well.
Well, you know, they've had their battles in the past, and I don't know if this is advantageous or not to their situation. You're teaming up, knowing their strengths and weaknesses.
Well, if this is in fact LAX's last match in PTW, then if Phil Atlas and Brad Martin were to win this matchup, they would certainly give them quite the send-off and propel themselves in the tag team ranks. So if I were Phil and Brad in this situation, I would be very happy to be in this kind of opportunity to showcase their talents against a team like LAX. And they perhaps are. They're just a little concerned about the way they are perceived here in PTW by the upper echelon.
Well, that's true. You know, they're here. They're taking their lumps. They're paying their dues, and they're trying to climb the ladder here in the ranks of professional wrestling. And you know, this would be, I wouldn't even say a stepping stone. This would be a leap. This would be quite a leap if they're able to take down the LAX.
Well, I tell you one thing, though fans in North America might be very familiar with LAX because they see them every single week on TNA television, Phil Atlas is somebody who's in fact well-traveled all around the world. He's had time in Japan, he's had matches all across North America and Mexico and Europe. I mean, this is a guy who everyone in the world, other than perhaps North America on a high level, know exactly who he is, and Brad Martin is no slouch himself, certainly well-traveled is Brad freaking Martin as well. So put those two together in a situation like this, and you might have a recipe of disaster for LAX, but we'll have to see as this match begins. As Homicide is in the ring, taking on Phil Atlas to start things off in this tag team contest. I tell you, Tommy, what thus far, though?
Well, you know what, this is, if anything leading up is like a precursor to this match, I think it's going to be, well, it's going to be off the charts, as the kids say nowadays.
Still to come, the phenomenal AJ Styles is in action, taking on Petey Williams, and of course the main event for the PTW Championship, Rhino, the champion, will take on the former challenger, the man he defeated for the belt, Robert Roode. Under speculative circumstances, as Robert Roode would tell you if you were to ask him, so finally one-on-one he gets a shot. Phil Atlas none too happy about what's happened in the ring thus far.
A little frustrated there with the tactics of Homicide.
Homicide has a no-nonsense attitude when he steps inside the ring. He certainly has an aerial assault. He has a ground game. He has all the tools necessary to be one of the most well-rounded athletes in professional wrestling, and he utilizes whatever necessary, and he modifies against whatever opponent he faces in the ring. We've seen him compete in many exhilarating matches in the X division. We definitely know what he's capable of, and those who've been following PTW for quite some time know exactly what Phil Atlas is capable of. Referee in good position there to see if that was in fact shoulders on the mat, and notices the necessity to break the holds.
Well, Phil Atlas trying to catch his bearing and know where he is in the ring, and he manages to get to the ropes just to have the hold broken. Homicide, he wants to keep a grip on Phil Atlas there. Don't let him out of his clutches because he can move, and he's quicker than a hiccup sometimes.
Both men lock up in the center of the ring. There's a big shoulder tackle from Homicide. His stature is deceiving. He's certainly quite strong and has just shown that to Phil Atlas, and 3 consecutive arm drag takedowns there and a 4th. And Phil Atlas's arm must be very tender right now as Homicide continues to apply pressure on that shoulder.
They have on the outside there Hernandez, probably second only in size to what we just saw the Machine, Matt Duvall.
Can you imagine that contest? My goodness. A monkey flip there, successful. Phil Atlas being flung across the ring, and uh-oh, what is he thinking of here? No, he's not. No, he's not.
Phil Atlas managing to impede the progress of Homicide to come flying out of the ring.
I think he took solace in the fans there, and that's exactly what he did. He hid behind the fans in order to make sure that Homicide didn't come flying at him with his own body. Well, I don't know what that's going to accomplish. He simply gave Homicide a chair to sit in is what he did. He allowed his opponents more time to rest. I tell you though, and looking at Hernandez on the outside, you're absolutely right. He is a giant man. Well, Phil Atlas has had enough, and in comes.
Phil Atlas stays.
Oh no, I think Phil Atlas stays. I thought I heard a tag. I was mistaken. Phil Atlas continues in this matchup against Homicide. And now a test of strength. No, that was wise of Phil Atlas to deliver a kick to the breadbasket. We've seen Homicide with the strength advantage earlier in this match, and Phil Atlas perhaps was baiting him, a veteran maneuver there.
Well, Phil Atlas doing what he can to try and utilize his speed and maybe turn the tables here on the LAX.
Reversal there from Homicide. Phil Atlas does land on his feet. In comes Brad Martin at this juncture. Brad Martin.
The powerhouse of this team.
He certainly is, and well, that's not the corner he wants to be in at the moment, because in comes the big Hernandez. Power versus power.
Power versus power.
How many power iterations there might be? Oh my goodness, speaking of power, look at that. That's just pure power right there. There's nothing other than that. There's a cover and a count, not only a 2 count. I mean, when you're being
referee out of position there.
When you're being pinned by Hernandez, however, it's even a struggle to kick out because his frame is so massive and he's lying on top of you. What are they setting up for here? Oh, lands on the knees. What's going to happen here? Oh my goodness, a senton right there, right on the body, and that will leave a mark. But it will not end the matchup as Brad Martin able to kick out.